Sorry, I think I kicked everyone out. Let's try this again. Yeah, it's weird. I can't see you guys when oh, there you go. All right. So yeah, sorry, I'm having difficulty with my webcam. No, I'll try again later. But feel free to switch it on or off. No, just no worries. Okay, let's start. No, so I'm sorry. Let's wait for the others. I kicked out everyone. um, let's wait for 1 minute. Okay. Again, sorry everyone. Technical difficulties. I managed to end the meeting for everyone. My bad. Let's give it 1 more minute. I hope everyone is doing well. All good. Yes. Thank you for being patient. It shouldn't be a long session today, this afternoon. We'll end before 6:30 definitely. Unless you have a lot of questions or comments or especially for your assignment. Sige, let's start na. No? Again, apologies for the technical difficulties. I'll try to open my webcam later. I was having difficulty with my webcam. Let me know again if my audio is choppy or something. Okay. So I trust that you can see my slide. So this afternoon we're gonna discuss part 2, no, of module 2, which is the non-income parameters, no, of poverty and well-being. But first, no, of course, some stuff, no, some announcements, no. Again, for your final integrated output and homework 2, please be patient. No, we're still finalizing the groupings for NSTP, and I plan to use the same groupings, no, for both homework 2 and the final integrated output. So, module 3, I'm just putting the finishing touches. No, I added a more interesting section, no, from my old modules. So it took me some time. No, so I'm just finishing the editing part. So I'll be finished by tonight or tomorrow. I'll post it tomorrow or Thursday. Suggested pace again. This is just a suggestion, but it's also available in module 0. If you can finish module 2 by this week, by Saturday, or the weekend, no, then start module 3 and cover module 3 by March 19th. So we'll give it around 3 weeks plus, no, to cover module 3. It's a bit long, no, but very interesting, some of it. First part will be just a quick review, but lots of new paradigms, no, for all of you, no, especially you guys, your economics majors. Now, some of these things will be more interesting to you, no, investment attractiveness, etc. And reminder, of course, no, and I'll talk about this last, no, my last slide. No. Reminder: the first graded assignment is due on March 5, 11:59 p.m. All my assignments are due at 11:59. You can submit late, no? Definitely, the dyads, the pairs can submit late, but it will merit a 5-point deduction, except if you have internet connectivity issues. No? If you do have, no, please let me know, preferably in advance, and no, the timestamp or date modified of your document should still show March 5. No? So one tip, no, don't wait until the last minute to send it. No? It's good. No, I think one of my students last sem, their group, no, had difficulty in terms of internet connectivity. They shared with me the Google Doc, no? And Google Doc, it has version history, no, the date when it was last modified. So that can be a possible proof that you indeed finished it or completed it before the deadline, but you just had internet difficulties. So just a sample. But again, please do let me know if you have some stressful circumstances that would probably you might need some additional accommodation. All right. Any questions before we jump into the actual module? I think that's pretty straightforward. No? All right, so we spent a lot of time, no, going into a lot of the technical details, no, for income or monetary-based poverty. It's not just income; it could be consumption as well. No? So we covered even some of the um, interesting permutations, no, I would say, of income poverty, no, vulnerability, some of the income gaps, some of the other more geeky, more technical measures, no. This time around, we'll cover the non-income based measures. No? We'll cover the basic needs and capabilities approaches, selected international measures. No? Then, of course, I always want us to apply it to the local setting. No? So we're going to talk about national measures as well. And then we'll also talk about some innovative alternative measures, no? Such as what they do in Bhutan, no? Which is the gross national happiness. No? And I'll also spend some time at the end to talk about the graded assignment. No? So yeah, so I hope that you guys are, continuing to cover and study, review Module 2 on Canvas. I think some of you are probably done or almost done because I saw some answers already for the AP's part, no, in Module 2. Right, at any point, just let me know if you have questions. No? Okay, so non-income measures. No? First question to you guys. No? Why do we need to have non-income measures of poverty? Since we covered income already, no, and there's a lot of related or relevant measures, no, in the income part. Why do we still need to have non-income measures of poverty? Why? Anyone? Yeah, because poverty is multidimensional and not only income based. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Any other thoughts, ideas based on what you think or what you've read, absorbed in the module? To consider the welfare and well-being of the population. All right. Yeah, that's another way of putting it. Yeah. All right. Sige. So yeah, exactly. No, exactly what you guys have been saying. No? Income or expenditure, consumption, no, the monetary measures are not enough to capture deprivation. So it's similar to to our previous topic on development versus economic growth. No? Income is important, obviously. No, that's a major thing, no, for means to a better life. No? But it's more than that. No, it's not enough to capture deprivation. And I like the point in was it, yeah, Dr. Alcar, no, of the Oxford Initiative. No? And if you think about it, the facets of poverty are integrated. No? Income is important, but it's not only that. No? There are many dimensions of poverty. No? And going deeper into that, no, uh, I forgot to paste the picture here again. No, going back to our what I told you, no, before we, as a segue to module 2, no, what I told you is think of ourselves as doctors. No, doctors just don't use, especially if there's an underlying disease. No, there's a problem. No, doctors just don't look at blood pressure, no, or your blood sugar levels. No, they to identify and diagnose the problems more comprehensively and more accurately, they combine different measures. No? So that's what we're trying to do. No? When we go to programming, when we go to interventions, no, which is part of your assignment, it has to, the more that you can diagnose the issues more specific, in more specific terms, no, the better, because you can target specific areas of well-being. Okay. Wait a minute. There are two approaches. No? The first is basic needs approach, as you've seen, no? And the capabilities approach. No? Based on what you've seen on in module 2, no? What's the difference? And what, in your opinion, is more superior? Which one is more superior, you think? And what's the difference? Anyone can tell us? So what's the difference? And which one do you think is better? Kalimutan nyo na what you saw on Canvas. What's the difference? And which one is more superior? There are two approaches, no? Both capture done in compart. No? Okay lang. Sige. Mamaya, no? Hopefully, more of you can answer my questions. No? So, sige, there are two approaches. No? The first one, it's more passive. No? Basic needs approach. No? When people were, kasi before, no, in the olden times, no, let me try my, I think I managed to fix my video. No? Let me just, all right. Yeah, there you go. All right. So in the old times, so when this was still a development economics was still a fledgling or a new um, sector, no, of economics, no, subsector of economics, no, they only focus on the income part. But then again, they realize, no, that poverty is interrelated. You need to look at the different dimensions, no, to provide good interventions. No? They focus first on what people need. No? What do you need for a decent quality of life? I need a house, I need money, and the income part. No, I need this, I need that. No, so it's more passive. No, capabilities approach. No, if you've seen the video of Dr. Amartya Sen, no, it's more active. No, and we'll talk about this more. No, in module 3 when we talk about social democracy as a good paradigm. Capabilities, it's really what are those things that you need, no, so that you yourself can, you know, can achieve something, so that you can acquire or achieve or realize your basic needs, your the things that, you know, make life, you know, make quality of life better. So it's more active, no? So it's like basic needs is I need a home, I need that, but more, let's say, capabilities, that's more like I need a livelihood, I need education, those things. No? Because if I get an education, then I can earn more income, I can buy my house. So it's an enabler. It's the opportunities, no, to achieve potential. And Dr. Sen mentioned 5 areas. No? We don't have to, we're just summarizing it now. No? Political, economic, social, of course, transparency guarantees, and protective. So all of these, no, in economic parlance, no, especially if you pursue development work, no, you'll hear the term enabling environment all the time. No? So it's what you need, no, both in the micro and macro level. No? What things you need, no, to enable you to be the one to chart your own destiny, to achieve your potential. It's helping you. It's not just giving you. No? So remember the discussion how to reduce inequality. No? So the basic needs approach would give you food. No? What you need, eh? Diba? Pwedeng puro free and then you just get it, you know. Versus the capabilities is, oh, I'll teach you something. No? I'll teach you a skill. No? So that's the capabilities approach. It's not giving you exactly what you need, but what you need to meet your needs. Kumbaga, diba? So that's the basic difference. So obviously, Of course, whether you choose this or the other basic needs or capability, they're both useful. But what's more superior is, again, it's more sustainable. Ito kasi, di ba? Once they run out of food, tapos na. No? Ito kasi, it's more sustainable. So aside from being more empowering, no, helping people realize their own needs, no, through, let's say, equalizing opportunities, no, it is also more sustainable because, because you give them things that they will use forever. Let's say education, lifelong learning, skills, no, they can keep using it. No, it's not, you don't necessarily exhaust it. But of course, there's a fine line. No? There are some overlaps, of course. Kasi for example, a house or a house, for example, is paano ba? A house can be both a basic need and it can be it can be an opportunity, no? Because you can use that, for example, as your collateral to get capital for your business, etc. So sometimes there are overlapping things, no? But the point is we want to strive for, especially when you are diagnosing and then proposing interventions, focus on this, the capabilities approach, rather than just the dole out part. What do you need? Passive yun. So again, the point here is it's not just wanting to dramatize, no, or be more technical and then explore all the different needs. No. Beyond describing, no, it's not describing that we're after. No, we want to examine the dimensions because eventually, and you'll see this if you've started to review your homework or plan to do your first homework. No, you diagnose because you want to inform what you're gonna do. Diba? Again, it's always remember that analogy of being doctors and trying to diagnose problems. The more specific, the better. Then of course, no, ito, sorry to beat a dead horse, no, pero if you were to compare, no, in terms of the intervention part, no, for example, a doctor, when it's the basic needs approach, no, you have high BP, no, surgery agad. Pero the capabilities is, hindi pa naman, you're not for surgery, maybe lifestyle change. No? I will prescribe this, that, I will support you, lose weight, ganito, so we will avoid surgery. Parang ganon, di ba? So it's more supportive, more giving the patient or the beneficiary or your target population the agency, no? It's more active. So just to keep emphasizing that point. So let's go to the global level. No? So at this point, no, these are pretty straightforward, no? Very self-explanatory. No? So globally, no, we have what we call the Human Development Index. No? The United Nations Development Program publishes this annually. So it's called the Human Development Index. Matagal na to. It's been around since the 1990s, no? Or even, no. I think they started 1990-91. See, Dr. Amartya Sen, he did not invent this, no, but he helped improve on it. No? So there are only 3 dimensions here, no? And we'll do a sampling, no? We'll cover some of the other global measures. No? So HDI, no? 3 dimensions. No? It measures life expectancy, which is a good indication or what we call proxy, no? A good gauge of health. Knowledge is basically education. And then here's your income part. So if you think about it, this is a combination. No? These parameters are a combination of income, the economic growth part, the decent standard of living part, which is GDP per capita, which is just income per capita, education, and healthy life. So see, because Amartya Sen helped improve this, you will see that this is the capabilities approach in practice. No? It's our kids, no, studying so that eventually they will have a better chance at life. No? And long and healthy life, no, is the country able to provide good health care, no, to support the population, no, in achieving their own dreams or their potential. So these two are not income, no, the healthy, sorry, let me just get the laser pointing, the health dimension and the knowledge dimension. And then you have the income part. So income and non-income. So Philippines, no, so they rank the countries. So they create some sort of an index, a composite measure, no, to combine these three, and they give countries a score, no, and then they rank the countries, no. We are somewhere in the middle, no? A part of high human development, but at the bottom rung. But we're still in that sort of high, almost high category, no? 106 out of 200 plus UN member countries. We have been improving, no, since before, but very, very, very slowly. And then the flip side of HDI, no, is the human, kasi kanina, development, more positive. They used to publish this, no, the Human Poverty Index. No? It's the flip side. Think of it as the reverse of HDI. No? And you'll see the same dimensions pretty much. No? It's no longer used because they replaced it with the next set of measures that we will discuss. No? But see, no, here you're talking about life expectancy. Here naman, the reverse, no? Mortality, no? Dying, no? The percent of people dying before reaching 40, which is a bad indicator, no? The knowledge part is the adult illiteracy part rate naman, the negative flip side, no? And then the health part, no? Like three things, no? No access to safe water, which is a proxy for bad health outcomes. Kasi let's say lack of access to potable water, then you'll expect diarrhea cases to be higher, etc., etc. So all of these things are proxies or good measures or a good gauge for health indicators or the lack of access to health, malnourishment, etc., etc. So these things are the building blocks of all the measures that we will discuss, especially the national and the more localized, no, LGU level, no, local level indicators later. No. So this is how it all sort of started at the global level. So HDI, just three core indicators, no, three dimensions. 5 dimensions of multidimensional poverty, no. Dito nga walang income, di ba? It's basically non-income lang. So the UN replaced it with this, no, and it was created by the group of Dr. Alcar, who you heard, no, in module 2, no, the Oxford Poverty and Human Initiative, something like that. So this is it. No? It's basically an expanded, no, set of indicators, no, from the HPI. So this actually replaced HPI, no, but it's still the negative, no, the flip side of development. It's the gap, it's the lack, or it's the negative. No? So you still have the same three things, no, health, education, and standard of living. So I think they wanted to stick to the three core things, no. Again, these two are more or less the capabilities variables, and this refers to the economic means plus the assets, economic, money, and assets. So for health, it's still child mortality, same thing, they carry that. Nutrition, are people eating correctly, or are they malnourished? No, are they dying? Maybe 0 to 5 years old. No. Education, no, years of schooling. Are people finishing school? Are kids attending school? Are they late? Etc. etc. So educational attainment is one. Standard of living, all the assets that you can buy, no. So the quality of your cooking fuel. Kasi for example, if majority of people in the country only use charcoal, no, uling lang, then that's not good. No? Aside from the environmental impacts, it's largely seen as backward. No? It's a good proxy for low income. Sanitation, if you don't have access to a toilet facility, a proper one, then that's poor standard of living. Drinking water, obviously, lack of access, no? And lack of access also to electricity, what kind of housing you're living under, no? Is it made of makeshift materials, etc. And then the assets that you have, they have a phone, a fridge, a car, a TV, etc., etc. Uh, the good thing is the Philippines has been improving a little, no? But we're still grappling with obviously housing, especially if you live in Manila, Cebu. No, obviously there are a lot of informal settlements. No? Access to water is still a problem, and hunger. No? I think we covered that before. No? Hunger is still a huge problem in the Philippines. And it's not, no, we learned that in module 4. No? It's not a function of availability of food. It's really the distribution. No? Because there's lots of food there, no, for everyone. It's just a matter of who has access to what. We continue to struggle with health and nutrition as well as employment. Okay, so that's the MPI. No? So more indicators to replace the Human Poverty Index. See, and you can see, no, it's better because if, for example, you realize that, oh, there's a problem here, then the intervention that you can create, no, can be more specific. Kesa kung, oh, they're poor, you don't even know what kind of poverty they're living. Magiging solution mo lang if all you see are income measures, or give them more money or employment, pero you don't even know nga kung may problem sa employment. See, so the more specific you can become, the better it is when you propose interventions or when you create interventions. So it's not just an exercise in describing poverty. It's really meant to diagnose problems in more specific terms, specificity, to make the programs or interventions more specific. Oh, let's now go to the local setting. In the Philippines, we actually do. We do have our own sort of version, no? And they're roughly the same. No? Most countries, especially developing countries, they have these things, no? Like a local equivalent of this one. So even before the HPI was expanded to this, no, we already had APIS. No, I think we started APIS in 90, I think 96, 97 or 98. No, yeah, we started with that, no, as a country. No? So it's the results are aggregated at the national level, no? But you can allow up to regional disaggregations. No? So similar to what we did in the income part, no, you can observe, no, the trends in the different regions as well. You can do rankings, no, which regions face more problems with this, etc., etc. So again, if you're government, this is useful because you know, number one, what the problem is, what are the glaring problems, so you can budget for that. Second, where, no? It can help you identify saan ba talaga, where should we focus more. So at the national level, you have a lot of these indicators. So how many indicators do you have? Marami, di ba? So you have employment status, no? Is the father or the household or the mother or the breadwinner, household head, as they call it, no, in the surveys, no? Employed or not, underemployed. You know those terms already. No? I don't need to define them for you. Is the household head, whether that's the mom or the dad, no? Did they finish high school even or college? No. Obviously, if you did not finish high school or college, no, then your income potential might be less. No? Enrollment status of children, that bodes well not just for the present but also for the future, no? Because that signals the possibility that the family cannot afford it now, and then it doesn't bode well for the kids in the future, because if you don't attend school, again, your income earning potential will significantly be reduced if you don't go to school. So that's a very core, no? That's why education is always a core, no? Globally, no, you go to each country, no, a non-income poverty measure will be almost always, all of the measures will include an education aspect of kids. No? Then your status of housing, no? Is the household made of makeshift materials, or is it solid? No, are you squatting, or do you have legal permission or the title? No, or are you renting? No, in that house. So the quality. No, the tenure status, or tenure means whether you have legal rights. No, whether you're renting or you have the title to live there. No. So dyan yung mga squatting, no, informal. Quality naman yon, no? Are the walls made of solid materials or makeshift, or substandard ba? Access to electricity, that's another thing closely related to poverty, no, of course, especially in the rural areas. So that's still a problem. Access to potable water, no, the quality, and then how far you have to go. No, kasi some households, so they don't have their own taps. No? They have to use community faucets or wells even. Access to sanitation. No? Are you using sanitary facilities inside your home, or you have to go outside? What kind of access? No. Again, similar to this, no, household conveniences, no, the assets you have, no, they have a fridge, they have a TV, cell phone, etc. As I told you last time, no, the APIS before did not have income measures, no, income and expenditure. Wala yan before. That's new in the last 5 or so years. No? Dinagdag na. No? So they also ask your income and expenditure para complete. No? But again, mind you, the income and expenditure, whether you try to estimate poverty using this data set, you cannot, kasi the questions are much shorter than the FIES. So hindi mo pwede compare na this year versus last year's FIES. So they're not comparable. But it's good to still have income and expenditure data there. And hunger, obviously, this is relatively new also. When I was still working in government, in NAPSI before. Wala yan. Hunger wasn't present before. So even though all of these surveys that you see, FIES, APIS, they evolve. Sometimes they change. They're not static. No? They evolve. No? Sometimes they add more indicators, they subtract more indicators. So depende rin. And this is a new one also. No? Do families have access to credit or loan? No? There's I talked about this briefly when we talked about the SDGs. No? There's this thing called financial inclusion. I'm sure some of you have heard or come across that term. No? It's basically a family or a person's ability to access financial products or services. Bank account or loans. No? Dito kasi, if loan shark lang yung access mo, or you don't have a bank account, that's problematic as well. That signifies that there's a gap in your well-being. Just let me know, guys. No, if you have, let me just check the time. If you have questions, just let me know. All right, so that's at the national level. No? So the APIS, again, as I keep telling, as I told you last time, no, the APIS is done, no, during the year when the FIES is not. So every year siya, except when the FIES is conducted. So the FIES was conducted in 2021 to get the income poverty measures. No, so the last time APIS, and that's in your discussion board, no, was the last time APIS was conducted was in 2020. So this year again, there will be an APIS. Sa 2023, meron ulit. 24, FIES ulit, FIES. So yeah, so that's how it goes. Okay, now we get to the very local. No? Kasi the APIS, given the sample size, no? And you guys are economics majors, you know what I mean. No? You're studying econometrics and you've studied statistics, no? Basic statistics. No? The sample size, I think, is roughly between 40 to 50,000. It's not enough to get provincial level or city level even disaggregations. So it stops at the regional level. You can have statistically reliable measures up to the regional level. So national and regional. This one, it's different. No? But this one, the thing with this, no, is at least before, no, meron ng batas right now. There's now a CBMS Act, no, that sort of mandates this, no, not every year, no, for local governments, no, but it's supposed to be done by local governments. Before kasi it was optional, no. The national government suggested, no, that local government units, no, cities and municipalities do this, no, the CBMS, the community-based monitoring system. And you see similarities between the CBMS and the APIS. Much of it is basically parang mirror image lang. Except a few, no? Like peace and order, wala dito. No? There used to be, no, sa APIS, they took it out. I don't know why. So same thing, no? So you'll see this, no? And you've seen this in your assignment as well, no? And I urge you to keep coming back to this deck, no? Mind you, no, in case you're wondering, I also shared the deck. I post the deck, no? When I post the recording of our synchronous sessions, I also post the deck in the same page. So it's found at the last, kunyari, this is module 2, di ba? It's found at the last part of module 2. So I will post the recording plus the slides. So I always post the deck. And feel free to use my graphics, no, if you need, no, for other classes, etc. Of course, just give due credit. No? So CBMS, so same, no, health. You have health indicators, no, child mortality, and then the proportion of women who died due to pregnancy-related causes. No? So ito, by the way, just as a background, no, why did they choose these indicators, itong APIS and CBMS? The background here is they did statistical, no? You are studying econometrics now. No? They did statistical regressions, no, of the determinants of poverty. No? What well-being indicators are closely associated to poverty at the income level. So ito yung mga indicators that they found that were strongly correlated with income poverty. So that's the background of this. So yun, no? Child mortality, preventable pregnancy-related causes, no? Kasi the problem is, especially in the rural areas, no? Kasi when ask your moms, no, when your mom was pregnant, no, kailangan yan, you have to see your OB-GYN every once in a while to check the etc. So but if you have poor access to that, no, chances are you might have a high likelihood of, you know, pregnancy-related deaths, no, either the kid, the child, unborn child, or the mom. Nutrition obviously is an indication of poverty, no. The proportion of children who are malnourished, no. Housing, as we discussed, no, in the last part, no. Are you living in makeshift housing or good materials, no? Or do you have legal permission, no, to stay in your land, no, and in your house, no? Or are you squatting? No? Water and sanitation, do you have access or not? Are you attending school, and are you attending the right school level? No? Kasi you might be delayed, no? So that's another red flag. No? Kasi baka mamaya, you're supposed to be in grade 6, you're only starting grade 1 due to, you know, lack of income. And, you know, there is also the income part, no, for CBMS. No? They also try to measure, there's a questionnaire, try to estimate who are the poor. No? So remember, we have poverty and subsistence thresholds for each region. And province meron din. So they can use that as a reference. No? Employment, no? Who are you employed or not? Hunger, did you increase food shortage, and peace and order. Because you know, especially in the urban areas, no, and some rural areas, no, provinces, crime, peace and order is also correlated with communities that are quite poor, no, or in general have low incomes. So when we say local government level, we mean LGU, no? Quezon City, Marikina City, or the municipality of, let's say, Tanay, Rizal, for example. Or, you know, as you see in your assignment, San Remigio, for example. So these things, no. Now my question to you is, why is CBMS important? Why do you think this is important? If you were able to watch the video. Anyone? Why is CBM? What's so important about CBMS? What's the advantage? Is it just asking the city of, let's say, Marikina or Quezon City to waste money and just ask your constituents stuff? What's the importance, or why is it beneficial for a local government? I'm a mayor, for example. Why is it beneficial that I do or implement CBMS? Anyone? There's a chat box. It gives LGUs more accurate tools to look into poverty so they can, wait down, so they can tackle it themselves. Okay, that's a good one. Next, another chat message. Improved tracking system of the demographics of the population to better analyze the needs and issues of a certain city slash municipality, like SAP allocation and distribution of goods and services. Perfect answers, actually. Yeah, so ito, no, my wife, when I was doing this deck, no, this slide, my wife was laughing at me. No, you have a slide within a slide. Yeah, and I mean, if you notice, no, sometimes, no, in your Canvas course, no, in my Canvas course, no, that you're studying and learning from, I copy paste certain things, no, decks or images, no, because why reinvent the wheel? No? Of course, just give it due credit. No? Ito, I really found this powerful. Before, no, before the pandemic, no, there used to be an annual CBMS conference, no, where the CBMS founders, no, sina Dr. Celia Reyes, as we studied, no, last time, no, who was the mother of vulnerability statistics in the Philippines. They have this annual forum. No? They invite, no, local governments and national governments to talk about CBMS, some of the things they're doing, etc., etc. And by the way, and I shared that with you, no, there's an optional resource there. You can watch the entire forum, no. It was just, I think it was just held this February, no, yung Forum of Action for Economic Reforms, no. And I strongly encourage you to watch Dr. Celia's segment there, where she talked about and elaborated the point about the importance of CBMS. No? So ito, no, you guys were saying, no, it really gives the city or this was, I think, from, not sure which city this was from. Could be, I think it's the Zamboanga or Quezon City or Marikina, I forget. Um, so ito, they were saying, no, we are, we preach the CBMS gospel. No? We promote the use kasi we found it useful for us, for our own planning. No? So to promote evidence-based planning, see, you need data. No? Who do we target? No, sino may problema? What are the most pressing problems? So, so we can budget appropriately. No, we can design programs, we can design projects. No, and we can actually target who to give the intervention to. So it's really good, no, to provide data. No, and the good thing is if you do it regularly on an annual basis, no, aside from diagnosing it, you can track whether you are improving. Kasi baka mamaya you're doing a lot of things but the indicator is stagnant or worse, no, deteriorating, then there's something wrong, no? So it can lead to some self re-examination. It's sabi nga nila si Ernie Baron, you guys were too young, no? There was a famous news anchor before, parang Mr. Trivia guy, no, si Ernie Baron. Knowledge is power. May ganong show siya. It is, no? If you know the pressing problems, you can act accordingly. And if you know who are experiencing the problems, then you can target. Oh, itong target na to. We can have programs for families X, Y, and Z. Yeah, and you provide baseline data, no, for poverty diagnosis, no, and profiling. So, yeah, lots of very important stuff. And the good thing here, no, and a footnote on CBMS compared to other tools, no, the CBMS is a census. The FIES APIs are surveys. Can someone tell me the difference between census and surveys? What's the difference between a census and a survey? You guys should know this already, no? Or can someone tell me what's the difference between a census and a survey? No one knows the difference between a census and a survey? Ayan. Census is on a national level, survey, not quite. All right. Sample size of survey smaller. Well, technically, yes. Perfect answer, Lorenzo. Enzo. Census covers the whole population, while a survey uses a subset or sample. So yun nga. So FIES, for example, as I told you, they get a sample of the population. I think it was 44,000 before, no? To represent the 108 million, I think, Filipinos. So sample lang siya. Whereas a census is the entire population. No? I don't know if you've heard, no? We do, no? The Philippine Statistics Authority does a census of the entire country every 10 years. The CBMS is a census, meaning it's a census of the locality. So they don't just take a sample of like, let's say, 1,000 families. No, they go house to house, get the data. Yes, it is time consuming and could be expensive, pero for them sulit eh. Kasi the superiority of CBMS, no, if you are a local chief executive, a mayor, no, it's not just that you know these are the pressing problems. You know exactly which household. Diba? That's the good thing about a census. You exactly know who, sino. Sample kasi you don't know eh. Representative like the 44,000 will represent 100 million Filipinos. Ito hindi. It's a census. They administer the tool, the questionnaire, to the entire. No? It's the universe of people in a particular area. So in Marikina City, in San Remigio Municipality, they go to all the households. No? So they know, no, if they have a program on, let's say, livelihood, sinong unang tatarget nila? Of course, doon sa mga nag-answer sa CBMS na medyo kulang sa income and employment is bad. So that's the good thing about CBMS. No? Aside from a proper diagnosis, it gives you the answer to the question. So who will we target? Diba? Kasi very specific siya. Of course, they're saying there are data privacy issues here, no? But ganun eh. Of course, there's always trade-offs. No? Pero with the CBMS Act, no, the law, no, I haven't really read it in full yet. No? It mandates, no, LG used to implement it at least once every few years, not every year yet. The good thing with CBMS, before kasi paper-based, no? Very expensive. Now they do it tablet-based. So the cost of administering it per household has really dropped, no, significantly. So madali na lang kasi electronic tablet na lang. In the overall scheme of things, for an LGU, how much is one tablet? Mura na lang. So less than 10,000. And then you can have Google Docs or Google Sheets. So okay na, di ba? Tabulation, etc. So that's the good thing about CBMS. All right, before we talk about your assignment, no, let's talk about one interesting measure. No? I don't know if you guys have heard of this, have come across this. No? Because globally, no, there are standard global tools, measures, the HDI, HPI, which is now the MPI. And then countries, of course, are free to have their own things. No? So in Bhutan, and if you're really interested in this, no, they have this thing called the Gross Happiness Index. I have a video there, I think, no, on Canvas, no, on the Gross Happiness Index. No. It's interesting. It's composed of 4 domains: good governance, sustainable socio-economic development, cultural preservation, and environmental conservation. So, and lots of pillars here. No? 33 indicators, still a lot, no? Madami din, no? So they you know, they try to be rigorous as well, no? So with the 33 indicators, no, you're unhappy if, for example, your family uh, meets less than 50% of the indicators, pwede na, or narrowly happy, 50 to 65% lang of all of these indicators, you tick the box. Extensively happy if it's 2/3 to 3/4 more or less of the indicators. Deeply happy pag 77 and beyond. So, and you'll notice, no, this is the difference between what they say, no, the Eastern and the Western philosophies, no. Kasi Western very hard metrics, no. Poor, not, house, very object oriented, no, tangible stuff. Ito, if you'll notice, no, there's a lot of soft things, no, the intangibles, no. Ito, for example, no, so two unique things here, no. It's the soft things, no, ito, for example, your emotions, your spirituality, your mental health, no, not just physical health, no, your work-life balance, for example, no, cultural resilience, diversity, no, artistic skills, no, community vitality, a lot of the soft skills that are not easily seen or observed. No? Plus, the other unique thing about the gross happiness index is a lot of focus on the environment. No? Kasi Bhutan, no, they try to really preserve, no, and then protect their environment. So there's one bucket, no, or a pillar on ecological diversity and resilience, no. So responsibility about the environment. But mind you, they don't forget the usual stuff, no. Assets, no, the living standards, no, which we saw in the HDI and HPI. Education, same, no. Governance as an enabling environment. Health is still there, no. Pero yun nga, may twist, no. Mental health is included there. Yeah, so it's very unique, no. Some have been saying, no, advocating, let's try to do this also in the Philippines. But mind you, the problem with surveys really is they're also expensive to administer. So of course, if you're PSA, you're the government, you pick and choose. So something nice to see, no, interesting. No? I just wanted to include this in one of our topics because it's interesting to see how other countries also measure their well-being, their poverty and well-being. I don't know if we ever will get a chance to use this. Now, if you guys have the money, maybe you can sponsor a survey on this. No? But it's just interesting to see how other countries, no, like this Bhutan, no, have become creative. Okay. And then that brings us to, see, I told you, no, the discussion on the non-income part, they're pretty straightforward. No? Mas technical yung income part. So all you have to do all you have to remember is there are two categories, no? The basic needs approach, which are the what you need versus what will enable you to meet what you to get what you need, no? Eventually. More enabling yung isa. And then all of these different indicators, no, the global, national, and very local level, no, are ways in which governments and other stakeholders can properly diagnose and be more specific for their diagnosis so that they can come up with better interventions. And in the case of CBMS, they can come up with interventions and target specifically who, no, to target. So yun nga, no, to get, no, you were talking about the SAP, no, social amelioration program. One of you actually said that, no. When you guys know the CCT, no, the conditional cash transfers, no, program, no, of 4Ps, no, of disability. They did a combination of, kasi always the question is, so who will be the beneficiary? Who will be a 4Ps beneficiary? Who will not be? So they used a combination actually of the census, the FIES, APIS, no, they got the poorest, I think, 40 municipalities. Then they did CBMS. in the shortlisted provinces and municipalities. Kasi, yun na parang where the rubber meets the road is who, exactly who, which family. So, even in the, and yun nga, the listahanan that they developed for the 4Ps, no, was used as the main basis of the LGUs in coming up with their lists for the SAP, the ayuda, during the pandemic 2 years ago, yung ayuda. So yun, just trivia for you guys. Okay, before we end, no, and you might have questions here, no. Graded assignment, dyad. I hope all of you have pairs already. Some people, no, 4 answered the survey, no. So I shared your email addresses among the 4 of you, no, so you can choose your partners. So I hope no one has issues now in terms of partners for this. And I want you guys to help each other, no, kasi again, you guys are economics majors, but still you don't have a lot of experience yet in terms of coming up with interventions. So I want you to brainstorm, no, with your partner and be more thoughtful about both the diagnosis part and the solutions part, the interventions part. So I want you to write a paper, not more than 2 pages. It's up to you if you want a single space or double space, triple space kung gusto niya pa, but not more than 2 pages. Kayo nang bahala. Must use the mainstream font sizes, no? And the mainstream fonts, no, either Times New, yes, I know, boring, but standard. Calibri 11 or Arial 11. Helvetica if you want as well, okay then. Basta wag 10 and below. Definitely. MS Word or PDF format is okay. Again, 1159. So a summary of the poverty. So choose one of the decks, not all, no? Just one, no? Either, kasi every time I teach this class, so this is the 4th time I'm teaching this class, no? Of course, may konting variations since you're economics majors. I rotate the cities, no? I have a source, no, where I get presentations. So excerpts to. I did not provide the full presentations kasi I don't want you guys to be influenced, no, with their interventions. Kasi baka mali din naman. So, so choose one of the decks, the excerpted decks. Give me a short summary of the development poverty situation. What are the challenges? No? What do the data show? Wag trends kasi 1 year lang pala yan. So it's not hindi trends, no? Data. What does the data show? And I want you, no, just so you tie it together with module 1, no. So which among the indicators align with the SDGs? No? You don't have to align everything, no? Just a few, no? Just show me that you're connecting this with with module 1. Kasi this assignment is supposed to capture what you've absorbed from module 1 and including module 2. The second thing is which area, no, socioeconomic, no, these are the socioeconomic areas, no, itong lahat ng indicators, 14 I think, no. That's the LGU have to focus and improve on, yung weaknesses nila. And then finally, what initial interventions do you think the LGUs have designed or should design to respond to the situation? Kunyari, put yourself in the hat of a consultant, no, or an expert. No, parang the mayor is showing you this data. What seems to be the issues and what do you think should be the solutions? Diba? So, yun. Mind you, these are guide questions. This doesn't mean this will be the outline. Let me repeat this. No? Because students think, no, ito yung question, therefore it's not an essay question, it's a paper, no? So it's not, you answer this question, okay, not next. No, it's just guide questions. Structure it or use a different outline as you want. Be creative, no? What I want you to avoid is you keep repeating things, no? Kasi you were trying to follow the outline. So sequence it in whatever way you want and whatever would be simple and effective. So these are just guide questions. That's not the outline. before I open it to any questions, you might have the same questions. No? So I included 2 or 3 slides on FAQs, no? Since before. No? And sorry na lang if you were not able to attend this, if you're listening to the recording, if you know someone who is not able to attend this class. No? I will no longer repeat this even if your classmates will email me, sir, and they ask the same question. No, I will just tell you or refer to the recording. Kasi yes, I do not, what do you call this? I do not check attendance. You're free not to go to class, to the synchronous class, but I will hold you responsible for missing things that I've already discussed. So kung tinanong mo na something that I explained during class, I will just tell you or refer to the recording. So please tell your classmates. Now, yes, I don't check attendance, pero that's your responsibility. If you fail to hear something. All right, so ito, are we required, sir? Are we required? This is an actual question, no? And it keeps coming up, no? Every year, every sem. Sir, are we required to base our answers solely from the data you have provided us? Or are we supposed to refer to outside sources? If so, which citation format do you prefer? So my answer was, and it's the same for you guys. No? Yes, the assessment part, no, the diagnosis part should come solely from the slides provided. Do not consult, no, do not do research or poverty situation in Marikina or San Remedios. Do not do that. The assessment part should come solely from the slides provided. The data where you will base your diagnosis should only come from the data. This is not a research paper. No, it's more to test how you're thinking about diagnosing and interventions and proposing interventions. But granted that, again, you are still in college and you may not be experts yet in the interventions part. You may lang to. And again, my preference is for just to see your creative and your thoughtful consideration, your creative ideas, no? On the interventions part. So yes, you may, if you're really not comfortable, but I really prefer to see your own thinking. And I might give more points to that. No? If you did not consult external resources and then you came up with, wow, really solid things. So yeah, but again, you may, if you do so, only in the interventions part, not the assessment part. For any additional research, I'm not picky when it comes to citation. So any mainstream format, APA, parenthetical, up to you. As long as you give proper credit if you consulted external resources. Oh, sir, another question. Sir, if we cite the excerpted deck, do we need to cite it? Hindi na. It's okay. Or you can just say, no, as seen in the deck or in the slide, as seen in the data of Marikina or San Remigio. So no more. No? Kasi obvious naman that you're using it as a reference. Kasi nga, that's the point of the assignment. So no need to cite the deck. Ito lang, just, ito pala, 2 slides lang. There was a question also, no, especially in the case of Marikina. Sir, what's the difference between people who live in makeshift housing and people who are informal settlers? There's a good degree, again, of overlap, but they are technically different. The people who are living in makeshift houses, that indicator measures the materials. It doesn't care whether you are living in that place, in that house, or in that land, legally or illegally. It's just observing, no, whether you have strong or substandard materials. The other is the informal settlers. No, you can have a strong, no, very hollow blocks, concrete, no, house in a land that you are occupying illegally. So it doesn't need to be the same. So they often overlap, no? Just to read my answer. No? Informality has to do with having the legal authority, no? Whether you're renting or owning the land or occupying. Informal ka if you have illegal tenure. If you are staying there illegally. Yes, more often than not, if you are living in a squatters area, no, usually the houses are made of makeshift materials, but that's not true all the time, no. That's why the two are often interchanged. But it's also possible, especially informal settlements that have been there since half a century ago, no. It's common to have people with durable houses, no, in illegal settlements. On the flip side, a household can have makeshift housing, no, poor materials in legally occupied land. Makeshift housing sila, but not an informal settlement. So just to be more specific, because you might have that question. So the one indicator pertains to the materials in the housing, the others whether you're squatting or not, illegally occupying. Okay, any questions now? I'm open to questions on any of the topics we discussed or on this assignment. Feel free. Unmute yourself or type in the chat box. It's pretty straightforward. So again, March 5 yung deadline of homework 1, dyads. No? So just, by the way, just choose one person to submit it. No? I don't want duplicates kasi that gets confusing and messy. No? So just choose one, no, person to submit. So I will expect, I think you guys are 24 yata. Kaya I will expect 12 submissions. No? So I'll try, once you submit it on March 5, I'll try to turn it around within 2 weeks. No? All right, any questions, guys?
Yes, sir. Question po.
Go ahead, Meg.
If ever we decide to use a graph or a table po, will that be included in the 2-page count, or are we allowed to exceed that if ever po?
By the way, I forgot to thank you for your question. It reminded me. References, you don't, again, you may, no, but you don't have to. For references, no, like a bibliography of some sort, a mini bibliography reference list, no, that can be on the 3rd page. No, it doesn't count towards your 2-page limit. No. For graphs, yes, it does. Yes, it does, because that's part of the paper. Diba? It will count. No? So I don't need fancy graphs. Don't worry about it. No? If you want, go ahead. No? But it will count towards your page limit. Kasi ang basis ko lang naman dito is there's one group nga no, last time, no, the way the workaround they did was they put all the graphs into the annex, see annex, blah blah blah. No, but that's not the point. No, when you're presenting a paper, no, what the reader needs to read, no, to assess your paper needs to be counted towards the page limit. Kasi core yun eh. So if you're trying to explain something and presenting it, that's part of the 2 pages. But again, mind you, no need for fancy stuff. No? Kasi the table is already there. But yeah, kayo, I've seen some, no, that had very small graphics. No? Pwede naman. Okay lang. No worries. And if you're wondering about the criteria, no, is in the syllabus. No? How I grade it. No? It's your grade will be composed of, I think, 3 or 4 dimensions. Nasa syllabus, no, the rubric, the grading rubric for this. No, I'm looking at good writing, clear, no, integrative writing, and then of course, thoughtful evaluation. Okay, did that answer your question, Meg?
Yes, sir. Thank you po.
Anyone else?
Sir, question lang po.
Go, yes, go ahead.
Ano po,
Si Jack, okay.
I read the syllabus. What's this individual assessment? Is that what the diet na? The one for pairs?
Yes. Sorry, again, I sometimes use my old syllabus as the base. I forget to replace certain things. the dyad. This assignment before used to be individual. So now it's dyad, no? Kasi I thought it would be better if you guys help each other out. No? So yung individual that you see in your syllabus, sorry, I forgot to replace that. That's the dyad part. Yeah. Thanks for that, and sorry for that mistake. No?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for seeing that. No? Yeah. Okay. So we're done, no? Just an hour and 15. No? So next week we'll start module 3. No, hopefully some of you can start. No, I will post it tomorrow or Thursday. Hopefully you can already start, but no pressure. No, if you haven't started yet, by next Tuesday, then I'll again start with a summary of module 3. No? So module 3 will probably cover that in 2 or 3 sessions. No? Let's see our pace there. No? All right. Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for joining. Have a good evening. Have a good dinner. Have a good rest of the week. Enjoy your EDSA 3-day weekend. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Bye, sir.
Thanks, sir. Bye.
Thank you, sir.